Hey guys, this is Evan from Easy Origami, and today I'll be teaching you how to fold an origami star called Celestial, designed by Brian Beidel. This model is perfect for the upcoming holidays, and I'll even teach you a quick and easy variation at the end. This model requires 8 square sheets of paper. Each unit is folded from 1 square, and I recommend using 3-inch squares to fold the units. Using 3-inch squares will result in a model about 5.5 inches wide. Brian and I recommend using duo paper, or specifically double-sided craft paper, for the best results. I'll link to some paper in the video description below. And I'm going to be using larger paper with color on one side and white on the other, just to make it a bit easier to follow along. And once you've prepared your paper, then we're going to start with our first square with the colored side up. And then we're going to fold in half diagonally. So take this bottom right corner and fold it up to the top left corner. Align the corners and the edges. Then make your crease, and then unfold. Then we're going to rotate the paper so that the crease we just made now runs from the top left corner down to the bottom right corner. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to make a diagonal crease by aligning this bottom right corner with the top left corner. So just align the corners and the edges, then make your crease, and then unfold. Then we're going to turn the paper over to the white side. And from here we want to fold in half horizontally. So take this bottom edge and fold it up to the top edge. Align the corners and the edges, then make your crease, and then unfold. Then we're going to rotate the paper so that the crease we just made is now held vertically, and then we're going to fold in half horizontally once again. So take this bottom edge and fold it up to the top edge. Align the corners and the edges, then make your crease. And once you have this, then we want to rotate the paper 180 degrees so that the folded edge is now held on top. And now we're going to lift up the model. And I suggest grabbing it from the left and right sides, and then pushing both sides of the model towards the middle. So you just want to push the left and right sides in towards one another, and you'll see that the paper no longer lies flat. I think it's actually easier to see this from the top of the model, so I'm just going to rotate it like this. And you can see that we have 4 separate flaps of paper. So from here we want to take 2 of those flaps and pull them over to the right, and we want to take the other 2 flaps and pull them over to the left, just to make sure that everything is symmetrical. Once you've done that, you can put the model back down, and you can just reinforce existing creases. You're not creating any new creases here. And what you'll be left with is called a preliminary base. And before we move on to the next step, you want to make sure that your preliminary base is oriented correctly. So if you lift it up, you should see a bunch of white layers down here on the bottom. If so, then you can put the model back down, and we can continue on. And from here we want to create 2 new angle bisectors. And we're going to start with this bottom right edge here, and we want to line it up with this existing vertical crease. So we just want to take this top layer, and we want to pull it over to the left. And I like to start at the bottom and work my way up until the edges are completely aligned with that vertical crease. Once everything is aligned, then you can make your crease. And then we want to do the same thing on the left side. So we're going to take this bottom left edge here and align it with that center vertical crease once again. So we're just going to pull this top layer on the left side over to the right, and I like to start at the bottom and work my way up. Once everything is aligned, then you can make a sharp crease. And now we're going to make a horizontal crease along the top edges of these bisector flaps that we created in the previous step. So I like to do that by grabbing the top of the model, and you basically want to fold it down as far as it goes. It'll reach a point where it doesn't want to go any further at the top of those bisector flaps, and then you can make a soft horizontal crease. This step is not in the diagrams, but I think it makes it a little bit easier to do the petal fold in the next step. So once you've done that, then you can unfold. And then you can unfold the 2 bisector flaps that we created in the previous step. So from here we're going to petal fold along these existing creases. And I like to do that by holding down the model in this top triangle here. So I'm just going to put my left hand down on the top portion of the model so that it doesn't move. Then from the bottom of the model, we want to lift up a single layer of paper. And we basically want to pull it back along this existing horizontal crease here. So we're just going to pull that top layer of paper back almost as far as it goes. And as you do this, you'll see that the model will not lie flat. And to make it lie flat, we're simply going to reinforce these existing creases. So we'll start with this right side, and we're just going to fold this right raw edge into that center vertical crease. So I'm just going to fold that right edge in towards that center vertical crease. And you just want to work your way all the way up to the top of the model, reinforcing those existing creases. So you're just going to fold it in like that. You're not creating any new creases here. And once you've done that on the right side, we want to do the same exact thing on the left. So we're going to take this left raw edge here, and we want to align it with that center vertical crease. So we're just going to push that left edge into the middle. I like to start at the bottom and work my way up, just reinforcing those existing creases. And now we're going to lift up this flap of paper on the left side of the model. And we basically want to pull that flap up and over to the left as far as it goes. So you just want to pull it up like this until it reaches this left corner here and this point in the center of the model. You'll see that you really can't pull that layer any further. So once you've reached both of those points, then you can make your crease. And then we're going to turn the model over. And essentially what we want to do is fold the bottom corner of the square up to the top corner of the square. So we're just going to lift up a single layer of paper from the bottom. And again, we want to align both corners of that square. So we're essentially folding that square in half diagonally. Once both corners are aligned, then you can make your crease. And then you can turn the model over. And this is one completed unit. Now you must fold 7 more. Once you've folded all 8 units, you're going to need 2 to start the assembly. Then look at one, and you'll notice that it has a flap on the bottom right portion of the model here, and it also has a pocket if you unfold this white triangle in between these colored layers here. So once again, we're going to take our second unit, and before we start the assembly, we want to unfold this white triangle on the first unit. So we're just going to fold that flap down, but we can leave it folded up on the second unit. Then we're going to slightly rotate the second unit, and we want to slide the second unit's flap inside of the first unit's pocket. So we're going to do that by lifting up both units, and then we carefully want to bring them together like this. You want to make sure the flap on the second unit goes in between those colored layers on the first unit, just like this, and you just want to push them together until both units are somewhat aligned. I try to make sure that these white and colored layers are parallel on the left side of the model here, but to make sure the units are completely aligned, we actually want to turn them both over. So you carefully just want to flip the model over. So essentially we want both units to align at this point here. So you can see the top corner of the first unit's triangle aligns with the left corner of the second unit's triangle. And the edges of both triangles align here as well. And once both units are completely aligned, then we carefully want to turn them both over, making sure that neither of them slide out of place. So at this point I like to put the model back down, and we're going to lock both units together by reinforcing this existing crease that I've marked here. So we're going to lift up the top layer of paper on the bottom of the first unit. So we're basically just folding up that white triangle that we folded down before, but this time we're locking the second unit into it. So definitely try to make a sharp crease. And now both units are somewhat connected. There's actually a secondary lock that we need to complete on the back side. So we're going to turn the model back over. And now we're going to create a secondary lock by creating a crease that connects this corner with this point over on the left side here. So you just want to take this point where the triangles on both units align, and we want to pull that down pretty much as far as it goes. So we're just going to pull that colored layer of paper down. You can see that this flap actually incorporates both units, and you want to pull it down until it doesn't want to go any further. And by doing so, you'll connect the 2 points that I mentioned before. So once you've pulled that flap down as far as it goes, and it connects those 2 reference points, then you can make a sharp crease through all layers. And once you've done that, then you've very securely locked both units together. So we're just going to turn the model back over again. And now you've connected 2 units. And now we're going to add a third unit the same way. And we're going to do that by first rotating both units so that the colored portion of the second unit is now held vertically. Then we want to fold down the white triangle on the second unit just to open up its pocket. Then we want to take our third unit. We want to slightly rotate it like this. Then we carefully want to slide the third unit's flap in between the 2 colored layers of the second unit's pocket. So we just want to bring both units together like this. And you just want to bring them together until they're mostly aligned. Again, I try to align the white and colored edges over here on the left side. But to make sure the units are fully aligned, we want to turn the entire model over. So carefully turn over all 3 units. We want both triangles to align at this point, so the top corner of the second unit's triangle should line up with the left corner of the third unit's triangle, just like this. The edges of both triangles should align over here as well. And once the second and third units are aligned, then we carefully want to turn the entire model over. And then I like to put the model down flat on the table. Again, we want to reinforce this existing crease here. So we're just going to lift up this colored flap on the second unit, and we want to fold it up like this. So essentially we're just folding that white triangle back up that we folded down before. Again, you're incorporating the third unit into this fold, so you just want to make sure you crease sharply through all layers. Once you have this, then you've partially connected the second and third units. Then we carefully want to turn the entire model back over again. And now we want to create this secondary lock, but this time on the second and third units. Again, I like to start by lifting up this corner here where the triangles from the second and third units align. and you simply want to pull that corner down as far as it goes. You'll see it reaches a point like this where it doesn't want to go any further, but it also connects those two reference points that I mentioned before. Then you can make a sharp crease through all layers. And now if you turn the model back over, you've fully connected the first 3 units. And now we're going to add a 4th unit the same way. So we're going to rotate the model so that the colored flap on the 3rd unit is now held vertically. And then we also want to fold down this white flap on the 3rd unit as well. Then we're going to take our 4th unit. We want to slightly rotate it like this. And we carefully want to slide the 4th unit's flap inside of the 3rd unit's pocket, right in between those colored layers. Again, I like to align these white and colored edges here. And once those 2 units are mostly aligned, you can turn the entire model over. You may need to slightly adjust both of the units, but once these corners and edges are aligned on both triangles, then you've aligned the 3rd and 4th units. So from here, we're carefully going to turn the model back over. Then I like to put the model flat down on the table. And again, we want to reinforce this existing crease here. So we're basically just going to lift up this colored flap on the 3rd unit, and we want to fold it up along that existing crease. We're essentially just folding up that white triangle that we folded down before, but this time we're incorporating the 4th unit into that lock. So now you can see that we partially locked the 3rd and 4th units together, and we just have to finish up that secondary lock. So if we turn the entire model back over once again, so again, I like to start by grabbing this point here where the corners of both triangles align, and you just want to pull that flap down basically as far as it goes. And you'll see it stops at a point where it hits both of those references that I mentioned before. Then you can make a sharp crease through all layers. Then we can turn the entire model back over again. And now you've connected the first 4 units. Now we're going to connect the remaining 4 units the same way. And once you've reached the point where you need to create the secondary lock on the last unit, you'll notice that it's sort of blocked by these layers over here on the right. So what we need to do is temporarily unfold the secondary lock from the 1st and 2nd units, just so we have access to those layers underneath. So we're just going to lift up that secondary lock like this, just temporarily. Then we're going to connect this point and this corner here with the crease to create the secondary lock for the last unit. So we just want to fold down that corner as far as it goes until it reaches those 2 reference points. Then you make a sharp crease through all layers. We can fold the secondary lock from the 1st and 2nd units back down, just like this. So it should be symmetrical around the entire ring. And once you've created that last secondary lock, then you can turn the entire model over, and then your celestial model is complete. And in case you want to experiment with this design, I'm going to teach you a quick and easy variation of this model. So what we're going to do is focus on these white triangular flaps here. In particular, I'm going to start with this white triangular flap on the top right. And what we're going to do is take the left corner of this triangle and we want to tuck it underneath as far as it goes. You'll see it'll actually run into a vertical edge, so you want to make your crease along that edge, just like this. Then we want to slightly rotate the model so that we move on to the next white triangle, and we're going to do the same exact thing. So we want to take the left corner of that triangle and we want to mount and fold it underneath as well. So we're just going to tuck it underneath as far as it goes, wrap it right around that vertical edge, and then make a sharp crease. Then we're going to rotate the model again, and we're going to do the same thing. So mount and fold the left corner of that triangle behind, just like this. Mount and fold it behind as far as it goes along that vertical edge. And we want to repeat that process on all 8 triangles. Once you've done that on all triangles, you can flatten everything out. You'll see you have a nice star design in the middle here. And once you have this, then your variation of Celestial is complete. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial on how to fold Celestial, designed by Brian Beitel. Be sure to upload photos of your completed star to Instagram with the hashtag EasyOrigami to be featured here in my next video. Also, be sure to check out Brian's website and YouTube channel for more of his impressive work. His YouTube channel features dozens of great modular origami tutorials, and you can learn how to fold many more of his original designs. I'll post the links in the video description below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. And of course, subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.